I feel like nowadays, with a bunch of distractions and people being on social media and not being focused, that we don't really sit down and understand and appreciate the art around us because initially, like everything around us is art. From your bedroom to your clothes to the car you drive to the grass to the house you live in to the road that we drive on to everything. Everything is art. And I think when we look at the world like that, we really start to appreciate the lifestyle we have and everything around us. I think also that we misinterpret what art really is and the meaning of what art is. So in that case, people are not going to understand and not be able to appreciate it in that sense. The definition of art is things that come from the human creativity and imagination. And with this imagination is basically extension of the human emotion. So, for example, things like music, where it's basically expression of emotion, and the artist's mental state at that time would be an example of art. I think another reason, just thinking about it, why people can't really appreciate the fact that everything around us is art is due to the fact that things are not going to relate to everybody a certain way. And when we, speaking of that word relate, this is what really ties us into the art that we consume or make. It has to have some sort of personal, like feeling towards us. So, for example, going back to the music example, when we take an artist like Rod Wave, in his music, he conveys a lot of emotional pain and struggle, and maybe somebody who listens to his music can relate to that because maybe in the past they've gone through something similar that Rod Wave speaks about in his music. So when you ask them, why do you like Rod Wave so much, or why do you like this artist so much, is because of the personal connection that they have towards the words of the song or the melody or the beat or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, because obviously what may be art to me may not be art to you, or what may be art to you may not be art to me because of how you see it or how you relate to it, or how I see it, how I relate to it. So in a sense, I understand why people don't understand the fact or can't comprehend the fact that everything around us is art, or don't appreciate the fact that everything around us is art. But I think if we're able to look at the world and view the world in a objective lens when we're talking about the topic of everything is art, then we can really seek to understand and relate to people and see why they think the way they think and how they see certain things, and not be so judgmental towards them, and essentially also see the beauty and ugliness in everything around us and really appreciate it for what it is. You know what I mean? I also want to start to get into the topic of whether art is subjective or objective. When you look this question up on the internet, you see that it mainly leans towards the subjective side of it, but I think that art is both subjective and objective. When we talk about art being subjective, we can see that essentially, yes, art is subjective. Everybody has different personal preferences and tastes that we can't take away from them, which is why, for the example, for the Rod Wave topic, um, I can't tell somebody that likes Rod Wave that this is not how you should feel about it, because I don't understand why they feel like that. I can't explain to them why they should feel like that. You know what I mean? It's something personal to them. Same way how they can't tell me that I should like Rod Wave because of this and that. This just two different tastes. It won't work. Now, this is not to say that somebody's taste can't change, but everything is personal. Like I everything is personal, like I mentioned. So that's what I think about it being subjective. When we talk about art being objective, this is where we can kind of get into the topic of whether, okay, what is considered good and bad art. And I don't think it's a topic of whether art is good or bad. I just think that there's certain levels to art that get higher and higher as we basically break new levels of creativity in our mind. And this is kind of contradicting because it's like we just spoke about how art is a preference thing in a subjective sense, but it's like when we get to certain things, like take a movie for example, when we see a movie from like 1980 and how it was different from movies from 2025 now, it's like there was a certain level that had to be broken to get to that get to this point of how the movies we watch now are created. And this is not to take away the fact that people may enjoy the movies that were made in 1980 or prefer the movies that were made in 1980s, but it's just a certain level that we've broken to be able to also evolve into different types of art forms. And that's why I think we can't really say whether it's one sided, subjective or objective, but look at it as both in that sense. I also want to talk about how I think that art has helped us as humans actually evolve in a sense. One thing that comes to mind just thinking about it is how art has helped us to push our cognitive ability to process things like interpretations, abstract art, concepts, um, things like that, really, to help us essentially push our ability to communicate and problem solve. And I think, obviously those things are very important, and is a reason why I think even art is a main factor of the reason why we have evolved throughout the years. Obviously, there's other things like that, but I think art in general is one of the big things that helped us as humans to evolve over years. Another thing that really comes to mind when as we speak about how art has kind of helped us with human evolution is how it's given us the ability to create and interpret different symbols and certain concepts, kind of giving us a system of you know complex thinking that I think goes above our basic knowledge and skills of just pure communication. And just thinking of it, just like how you know when you look at fashion shows, like every year looks like it just gets crazier and crazier on the looks that the creative directors of the fashion shows like put out on the runway. And I think this is just an example of that, how art has pushed our creative ability and imaginations to create things that we didn't even think were probably possible in the past. Another thing that comes to mind is like how the different practices of arts, for example, like performance arts, where we see how people come together to watch things like sports and celebrate different teams and stuff like that and root for different teams, has brought us together socially, bonding us. And there's also other examples of this, such as people going to concerts to see somebody, or events, or celebrating rituals and religions. You know what I mean? And if you're not religious, then that's fine. But just the thought of that is just a beautiful way of thinking and looking at art as we see how it's really evolved us in throughout history. I also think that as humans, we don't understand how much art that we consume on a daily basis. For example, just waking up and opening your eyes and seeing all the abstract colors around you and all the things of different clothes, and maybe your TV and stuff like that, different books you read, or even just maybe making a cup of coffee and walking outside and seeing the different colors and the grass, the water, maybe the sky, the feeling the breeze on your face is just It's just all of this is just art, and it's really beautiful when you think about it like that. Another thing that people consume every day that we don't think about is social media. Social media is not essentially art, but the things that we consume on social media is art because of the different things that are shown to us and the feelings that we get from certain things. Like, you may be scrolling and you may be seeing a video of like a dog doing a backflip or something random like that, and I might fill you with some sort of happiness. You know what I mean? That's art essentially. That's the expression of emotion. Same way how you can also see something very negative on social media, and that can change your whole mood. So that's it's just crazy to really think about it, and I just get like very excited when I think about this topic of everything is art, because it's very beautiful when you really think about it, through the good and the bad, the ugly and the beautiful, bro. It's amazing. But that's gonna be the end of the video. This topic of everything is art, and just to talk about art in general, just really is like something I'm very passionate about, and I've become passionate about for the past like 2 or 3 weeks, just thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, we really sit around and don't think about everything is art around us. So it was a crazy thought. Like, I just went down loopholes about it. You know what I mean? But it even like dives deeper into the fact that we can go into, you know what I mean, how if art is an extension of our imagination and creativity, you know what I mean, where does creativity and imagination comes from? And then how does that tie into, this and that? You know what I mean? I feel like it's never ending conversation and debate about what is art and where it comes from and all that. It's a beautiful thought when you think about it. But thank you for watching. I appreciate it. This is my first video, so I don't know how it's gonna do, but I really appreciate for the people that actually sat down and watched me talk about this, something I'm passionate about. So thank you for watching and have a good day.